But what I have noticed, I might be incorrect, but what I've noticed with a lot of these professionals and billionaires is that they are unhappy with what they do, but they stick to it for that stability. And personally, I'd rather be more happy, more free. Yes, stability is important, but I'd rather use my creative side as well because I think it gives me much joy. What has worked for me is I would from if I am given a task, I would look at it from different angles. Rather than just getting that task done and ticking that box, I would go that extra mile. Don't always wait for a degree. Don't always wait for somebody to come and teach you things or situations to fall into place. You can always push for that creative release or just explore. But something that people around me told and I also thought about, now that situation happened and I couldn't have done anything to stop it, right? Okay, I wanted to make sure that even if I get fired in the future, I'll have something else to do. So yeah, yes, there is hard, but and at that moment, sometimes you won't be able to see beyond that. But walking away from those things and looking back, I have learned so much, and I would rather do that than to play it safe.
I just got done recording 2 days of my podcast, the Creative Odyssey podcast, here at Hatch.lk, one of the leading startup hubs in Sri Lanka. Because my goal was to be able to tell stories of unique creatives here who are crazy enough to think that they can actually solve problems. To be here at Hatch and be inspired in what I'm doing, and to be able to tell these stories and have this studio and opportunity, I'm super grateful to Hatch. I feel affirmed in my mission to highlight creatives, and when I saw individuals from startups like inviting their own friends to be on here so I can highlight their stories and their unique way of thinking, every single one of them has so much insight to provide to anybody who's watching, anybody who's thinking that they're not good enough to do what they're doing. Seeing stories from doctors who have changed careers into running startups, to journalists, to doing these kinds of things, like, it gives me so much hope to be able to share this to others, to say that, like, wherever you are at, if you're not passionate about what you're doing and you're stuck in your own bubble or whatever, find communities like Hatch, because it is going to be the best thing that you'll do for yourself, because the community is absolutely amazing. Hatch, thank you so much for the support you provided. I can't wait to show you the amazing stories and the insights your own people are going to share with the world. I'm super excited to have Abigail, a fellow creator, a young creator, I might add, who's doing really cool stuff with her creativity. So, Abigail, welcome to the Creative Artists Podcast.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here today.
Absolutely. Thanks for saying yes. um, First of all, who are you, and what do you do, and how are you here?
So currently, I'm a head of projects for an NGO. And apart from that, I do a lot of other things. I dabble in marketing, I dabble in PR, and I have my own clothing line as well with one of my close friends. So we are business partners in that. And then I also help out another one of my friends who's a graphic designer. So with his business as well. So doing a bunch of things, but yes.
So, how did you get into all of this, and what age did you get started?
Yes. So up until A levels, in the Sri Lankan culture, you had this after school, you go to uni and then, but for some reason, as soon as I finished school, I got into teaching.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So while I was waiting for my results, I got into teaching, and teaching is a very creative field. From helping the kids understand certain concepts to the artworks and things that they do, it's a very dynamic field where you get to explore different things.
What did you teach, by the way?
I taught special needs. Yes. So it goes the extra mile again to get things to be interesting for the kid. So you need to think outside of the box. That is part. So until that point, I never thought of myself as somebody creative. I played music. I played the violin and the piano and things.
Wow.
But it was because, yeah, I was passionate about it, but I never saw myself as a creative person. Because in my head, creativity is as limited to art, and you have to draw, well, you have to paint, you know. So I can't do anything. I can't even draw a stick man, right? So never thought of myself as such. But when I got into teaching, I realized that creativity is much more than that. It's about the way you think things, right? Down to certain ways that you operate. So all of these things actually that kickstarted my passion for the entire creative. And more than that, I never saw art, even when it comes to art and things, it was just art. But then I started enjoying it because I saw the kids create. I saw like small things like that, how that age impacts your ability to interpret what you're feeling onto a paper and speaking. So that kind of pushed me into exploring this more. And fortunately enough, I was placed at a company where my boss, the managing director there, I was a PA for him, and he pushed me into trying new things. Always pushed me into trying new things. So again, with events planning and all, I realized something where when you take an event, I tend to see all the small details most. I tend to see, okay, if the lighting is here, then the shadow is going to be here, sort of things, right? That kind of again sparked a lot of interest and curiosity into, okay, now how come people don't notice this? Why is this not, because I always saw myself as a dumb kid as a.
Oh, wow.
So,
Okay.
uh,
Hi, nice to meet you. I am also ex-dumb person.
So that sparked that curiosity, and I think other people also saw that. So before I saw myself as creative, other people started seeing that. And fortunately, I had a good team who always encouraged me, and the managing director, he was also pretty amazing. So uh, that again pushed that curiosity. And I think life is beautiful in that way. I was blessed to have people who encouraged that. And so in that particular office setting, I bonded with three people. So all three of them have their own creative segments that they run. One is a marketing agency, one is a graphic designer, and the other is an ex-digital marketer. So I was the youngest. So I would just hop onto their desk and be like, okay, what are you doing today? Like, how do you do this? Teach me this and all that. And they would sit me down and they would like spoon feed things and they're like, okay, so you can do it like this. Then I took it from them and I used to do it and go to them and be like, okay, I did it like this. What do you think should change? Right. And all children, they never be like, okay, this is wrong, this is right. They'd rather be like, okay, you see it like this, that is good. So with me, I learn it more on a practical basis rather than a more theoretical basis. That's how they'll always be. So hands-on experience is something that I was privileged enough to get. And I think this kickstarted my curiosity to another level. I also had this thing of not sticking to one thing. I don't know whether it's a good thing or a bad thing. I love to explore different verticals and different. So everywhere I go, even with work, I start off with something like this job. Particularly, I am a head of projects. But along the way, now I manage a jewelry line as well as a bungalow as well.
Wow.
So it's just a lot of things all the time. I like to do that because for me, I'm very hungry to learn. So I want to be able to optimize my time and also to be able to involve myself in different creative environments. Right? And so that's how I do a bunch of things. And with my clothing line particularly, that how that came into the picture was also because we started noticing certain gaps in the market and we thought of coming up with creative ways to cover that. So that's basically an overview of what I've been doing as well.
Wow.
We're so excited to share with you all the episodes that we filmed in Sri Lanka. We know a lot of you have been waiting, but we wanted to make sure that we did this really meaningfully because it really was an exciting time. When Sheran first came to me and said he was going to take the podcast to Sri Lanka, I honestly thought he was crazy.
And so did I. I was like, is there any possibility we can fit this in? I want to try to bring the podcast there and get to know people and interview creatives. So
we expected to have just a few conversations, maybe a little sparks of inspiration here and there, but what happened was so much deeper than that. We met so many people that not only you got to interview, but that also came alongside us to help make these conversations happen.
The crazy thing was this daring idea of going to a country, even though I'm from Sri Lanka. I hadn't been back for like 7 years. And all I knew was some people from school that I went to and some on social media that I've been following, but didn't really have concrete plan to make it happen. And some days we had 6-7 episodes back to back recorded because people were waiting and you were kind of facilitating that.
Yeah, so it felt really significant because not only was it that we were having like these raw and authentic conversations, but a lot of their stories resonated with Sheran's, and so it just was really fascinating to see them speaking the same language and to see like just this commonality of creativity and identity and purpose coming out as the themes of these conversations.
You must be wondering when this trip happened. It happened in September, and the goal was to get these episodes out by December or last year. Well, a lot of things happened, and I didn't want to diminish the work we put in, and again, the amazing guests that we've had. So we decided to do something really cool, and we're gonna post however many we can a week.
So linked in every single episode, you'll find a free PDF. It's actually a magazine that we developed. You can kind of think of it like if you go to a concert and you get like the souvenir of what happened behind the scenes and just about the different artists and all those things. We wanted to share with you not only about Sheran's journey, but then help you connect with some of the guests that we interview in Sri Lanka, and then invite you on your own creative odyssey.
Yes, there's so much more that goes into or that fuels this podcast, which is this mission to inspire people to create so that they can get to know themselves and connect with their inner child. So to see that we could bring that story out of Sri Lankan creatives, a wide, diverse range of creatives, was definitely a highlight.
Our hope is that whether you're living in the States, you're living in Sri Lanka, or somewhere else around the world, you'll connect with someone's story within Sri Lanka, and it might inspire you to continue on your own creative odyssey.
The link to the PDF of the magazine is in the description, and please check it out. They're doing really cool things that I really think you should be checking out to see their journeys. So without further ado, let's get to the episode.
What are the limiting beliefs you used to struggle with? Sounds like you don't have any.
Used to is not, I still struggle with a lot of things because I think with creativity and in life in general, there's so much to learn, right? And it's always something new every day, right? And for some reason, I've always felt like I've fallen behind because in school I was not, I had the brains to study, but I didn't have the patience or the interest in it. So I used to prefer my extracurricular activities like music, singing, violin more than the schoolwork. So that kind of kept me behind. My O-level results wasn't great. My O-level results wasn't great. So I always felt like it was this race that I was always losing out on. I was always falling behind. And that mentality hasn't changed. So sometimes even though I know that I'm hungry to learn, sometimes I feel like it's me doing a lot of things just so that I can escape that thought of I'm not doing enough. Just so that when I look back, I'm like, okay, I've done this, so tick, tick, tick. Okay, I've done like 10 things this year. Okay, fine. So it comes with that gray area for me still. I don't know how to overcome that even to date. Which I know is very limiting because I tend to doubt myself a lot. I know.
Wow.
Even coming here was big. Like I was like, no, because I don't know. For some reason, it's very hard for me to see who I am. I usually get a lot of feedback from my close friends on who I am. So that self-identity again is something that I struggle with a lot. So.
Yeah, I think for me also, until I actually sat down with myself, with my thoughts, and started journaling or just processing all those things and asking questions about myself, like even all the narrative society gave me, right? Like it's so important to kind of sit there and ask questions and ask what is the truth in the situation versus what is not. And that for me was the most like freeing thing because first of all, it's cool that you're doing this at 23 years old. But yeah, so my encouragement to you is that you're a very busy person, but try to sit with yourself as much as you can. And even the Michelle I was talking to, she's a journalist and all of these things. She also became this at such a late age in life. And now we hang on to this time we can get to spend with ourselves as this sacred thing almost. because every time you do that, you connect with yourself. So wait, you just jumped into like a clothing brand. Talk me through that. Like what?
So, as I said in my previous workplace, I met this lovely lady, and together both of us joined and created this. It was actually her passion, which she shared with me, and it became my passion as well. So together we created this journey. So uh, the idea behind it is to create clothing where people feel comfortable. It's not trendy, it's not fast fashion, but rather sustainable. And also something where people don't have to think, okay, I had to wear a shapewear for this. I have to look a certain way. But also we wanted to cater to a large audience where people who like rompers for day-to-day wear, they have that option. Oversized t-shirt, they had the option. And specifically, we wanted to cater to the moms, right? Because after pregnancy, the body changes a lot. And unfortunately, the market still hasn't caught up to that, right? So they create very restrictive outfits just to fit that, the mold
Right.
of what beauty looks like. And a lot of them, what we actually went and talked to a lot of moms, and a lot of them don't want to fit into anything, like fit into that model. They just want to be comfortable. They just want to live life and exist. So with our pants collection that we made, that was one of our key things. It gives you a comfortable wear, while also making sure that you look okay, you look good, and also keeping that space for you to explore different fashion styles and all. Because I know, for example, my mom, she doesn't lean towards gym wear because she thinks, it's too tight and or a bulging, all that. But these, we created it with those things in mind, or we got the feedback that they got, and we made sure to make, like, give samples out and test it out, make sure they're comfortable, they love it, and get their feedback. So it was a lot of work. I know a lot of my friends keep asking me when is the second launch, but we want to make sure that it's perfect. It's not just something we put out, because we pour our heart and soul into it. And the people that we cater, they unfortunately don't have other places to go to as well. So we want to make sure that their needs are met, as well as in a creative way. How can we overcome that challenge? That is the idea behind it.
So, I mean, is it fair to assume you don't know everything, right? Okay, cool. So how do you jump into these ventures and things like that without knowing anything? Like what's the mindset behind this?
To be quite honest with you, I'd rather fail than to go on in life and then think that entity like, okay, I didn't do it. I'd rather take that risk. I'd rather jump into something blind and, dump into the leaf and then learn than playing it safe.
I mean, how do you explain that to your friends who don't understand you?
I think my parents struggle with it the most.
Okay, let's start with the parents then.
My parents, and actually my friends' parents and my parents struggle with it the most, because every time they ask me what are you doing, I'm just like, this is this, and like, you told us this last month.
Right.
Like, yeah, but things happens. So yes, and so I think they struggle with it, because still that the Sri Lankan mentality is that for stability you need to stick to one. But what I have noticed, I might be incorrect, but what I've noticed with a lot of these professionals and millennials is that they are unhappy with what they do, but they stick to it for that stability. And personally, I'd rather be more happy, more free than, yes, stability is important, but I'd rather use my creative side as well, because I think it gives me much joy and it brings out that inner child in me, which I really enjoy. So those things into consideration, I think.
Isn't that mumbo jumbo? Connection with your inner child. I mean, I'm serious. Like, because I mean, you're also living in Sri Lanka, so like that has to be a challenge to explain that to people.
Yes, a lot of people don't understand that. So what I have found that works for me and works for my parents' peace is I find a stable job. I do my stable job to the best of my ability, and then I do a lot of other things on the side. So I'm not worrying my parents. I'm not going far away from that path, the societal path, the norm. But I'm also not missing out on things that I want to do. If I wanted to do something and I really, really want to do it, then I wouldn't do it. I would find a way to do it. So that is something that I have. That way I keep everyone happy. That is.
So, I mean, I've been talking to people who are much older, I guess, in certain times at this point, and I've been asking, what do you have to say for the young people or the older people? How does one get in touch with their curiosity, in your opinion?
What works for me is what has worked for me is I would from if I am given a task, I would look at it from different angles. I would look into the details rather than just getting that task done and ticking that box. I would go that extra mile. I think for me, what works is research and reading about things, looking at things that other people do, and sitting with them, having a chat. I would go up to somebody, even an art student, be like, "Okay, what do you think of this?" You know, because everybody has that creativity in them. It's different, right? So when you get to explore that from each person, your perspective of the world also changes and your creativity also gets enhanced, right? Because certain things you wouldn't have thought of it in that angle before that, right? So I would say talk to more people you can. Read up, watch YouTube videos. Just educate yourself. Don't always wait for a degree. Don't always wait for somebody to come and teach you things or situations to fall into place. You can always push for that uh, creative release or just explore. Even if you're really bad at it, right? What the worst that could happen?
Right.
You know?
Well, you lose money and or like, took a really risky gamble on something.
That's true. So in my thought process is if I'm a Christian, and what I believe is that if it is meant to be my, it would always come through, right? So with what I do also, I try to give it my best. That's all I can do. If from my capacity, what I am called to do is to give my best. So I'll give my best. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, at least I walk away knowing that I gave my all. You know, there's no regrets.
So you don't mind failing.
No, I don't. I actually don't.
So you're pretty free in that sense. Very cool. Um,
I think again, it's that limitation that you put on yourself. And also, for me, I got to that place because I thought of, everybody thinks that resources are limited, opportunities are limited. Like, okay, if you have X amount of money in your bank and use it on something, then that you're done. But it is not. You keep limiting yourself. Yes, a lot of people have a lot of other commitments and you need to make decisions wisely. You can't just sketch up, you need to take things. But if you properly do your research and also give it your all, at least you walk away, even if it doesn't succeed, you walk away learning something out of it. You walk away with a skill,
yeah.
which you can try. You can use that skill on something else in the future. Like so far, I had gotten fired as well. I gotten fired, I've gotten so but walking away from those things and looking back, I have learned so much.
Yes.
Right? And I would rather do that than to play it.
So how can we, especially young people, right? And or even old, I gotta stop saying young people only because it's also old people. How can we change? Like you mentioned, like every failure, instead of looking at it as a negative thing, you look at it as what benefits did you get, what skills did you get. So then, is failing almost like a requirement?
Yes, it is. Because I already have learned, but I learned without books. At least in my life, it has always been that I learned more through my failures than through my wins.
But let's be real, like failure is hard.
It is very hard.
Tell me about a time when you really like went low. I mean, you had to, right?
Yes.
Okay,
So,
Dean.
as I mentioned, I got fired from a job that I really loved. It was my heart and my soul, almost. And when I take on a job, I put my entire self into it. So it was something which I actually didn't have a personal life. It was I was fully dedicated to it. So when I lost the job, I lost a father myself. I shut down completely. I was not happy. And I didn't know what to do because my vision for the future was entirely dependent on it, right? And that was very hard. But something that people around me told, and I also thought about, now that situation happened, and I couldn't have done anything to stop it, right? But sitting and being sad about it is not going to. So I actually took a lot of work, but from that pain, that intense passion to have, okay, I wanted to make sure that even if I get fired in the future, I'll have something else to do, right? So, so for thinking ahead, that's how MNOK also came into play. That was the same month we launched MNOK, and that was the same month my friend launched his graphic studio, and I helped him out with that as well. So yeah, yes, there is hard, but and at that moment, sometimes you won't be able to see beyond that. But I would say without taking harsh decisions immediately, reflecting on those things, sitting with yourself, journaling it through, and understanding, and also trying to see the positive in it. Doesn't mean that you have to be positive all the time. Yeah. But you can choose to see the positives and the learnings and also focus on that more.
On that note, Abigail, you've been I've been saying this a lot from all the young people that I've been interviewing. You're a breath of fresh air. You inspire me. I wish I knew you when I was your age. I could have been done doing so much more cool things. No, seriously. I think people like you, we need to enhance your voice and bring it out more, because people need to see that there is good in community, especially good community, and that kind of encouragement. So thank you for being on the podcast. I learned a lot from you, actually. All I ask you to do in return is to keep dreaming, keep creating, and keep going on your own creative odyssey. Until next time, see you later. Bye bye.